Hi again. Let's continue work on the armor of the Razorback. So last time we were looking at the armor and we were sort of figuring out what the shape would be. What does the armor look like? What does it feel like? So one thing that I noticed after I did the last recording was that this gap here looks kind of strange. It's leaving some exposed exhaust parts, and those should be exposed for cooling, but I think it looks a bit stranger that it's open right here, but up here it's closed off. What I thought we could do is just really simply drag this edge out and then bring it up to where that other edge is, scale it down a bit, so it provides sort of a progressive transition. And this is kind of hard to see, but we're looking at the front view. So I'm going to use object axis selection so I can squash the edge. And then I'm just going to move it to the center, and you can see the symmetry sort of pick it up. So because I know this edge is 0 on the x-axis, I can actually just move it to 0 on the x position, and we know that the symmetry joins up. As for the gap up here, we would just need to select both of these edges, both of these points, sorry, and then we just weld them together. So that gives us more of that sort of structure that I was envisioning right there. Another thing we're going to do right off the bat, first thing today, is we're going to start smoothing out the armor a little bit. Now before we do any fancy stuff like hypernerbs or mesh smoothing or any of that sort of stuff, I thought we could just add a Fong tag to it. Right now they don't have any Fong tags on them, but we can go to Cinema 4D tags, Fong, and we just add a Fong tag on both of these objects with no angle limit. So it's just going to smooth the polygons no matter what their joining angle is. Now next we're going to start to give it some structure. In the last video we were talking about how we like the angular look and sort of how it looks bulky. And so to preserve those hard edges, we would need to come in here and do some bevels. So the first bevel I'd like to do isn't really a bevel so much as a cut, but we can take the knife tool in loop mode and we can just put a cut right next to there, and so that's going to harden up that edge for us. And if we go to the other side, we can sort of see the effect that that gives right there. And likewise we can use the path selection tool, UM, and we can select just like that, and then bevel tool, MS, and we can make that edge right there kind of hard. Now it makes the edge hard all the way through to the center, so to fix that we can actually just sort of select this edge right here and scale it up. And once that's scaled up, it'll start to soften the transition a little bit. We can even scale this edge right here up. We don't want to do too much modeling at this stage because it will start to define parts of the object that probably aren't ready to be defined yet. The more fine-tuning modeling you do is the more committed you have to be to executing what you've just fine-tuned. So I'm just going to add a little bit. Now, you know what? I'm not even going to add that edge yet. I'm not ready for that. So now we have this nice kind of body paneling coming together, and we should probably do that to this panel here as well. Now last time we mentioned that we wanted this inner panel to mirror the look of the outer panel, so that just means that we can do another bevel, just MS, and we can just bevel it just like that, and that's good enough for now. We're starting to see the armor sort of take shape rather. And we can come up to the top here, and I'm thinking up here near the top we probably want these pieces of armor to deviate and go towards the frame. So right now they're not quite going towards the frame, and I want to sort of make it clear that they should. So we can go to point mode and just move the point in until it touches. That should be fine for now. Just move it in. So it just gives it a little bit more of a connection feel. And what we can even do is bring that angular aspect up to this level as well. So if we bend both of those sort of like that, we can then, I'm just moving this edge around. I realized it was kind of off. There we go. We can select these two edges and we can bevel those as well. So we're just sort of figuring out what this needs to look like. And I think that's getting a bit closer. Now, there's still a lot of exposed machinery here that we'd probably want to protect. So I'm thinking perhaps we can have sort of an armor plate that comes in here to a point and goes directly down and then comes back up over this mechanism. Because I think this mechanism right here is something we want to protect, but then again, it's pretty big and bulky, so maybe we don't need to. Maybe we can get away with just putting an armor plate down here below it, and then an armor plate on either side of the bike coming down. So we're back into the experimentation phase. So I'm just going to create a new polygon object with ME, the create polygon tool. And let's start up here. It's going to create an n-gon with the current settings. And let's just bring it down. We want it to sort of cover this area, but not dominate it. So I'm not sure how that's going to look, but let's bring it out into the open and see. So that's what the coverage would look like. There may be something else we can do with this. So if we had one of these on either side, it might look kind of cool. Let's give it a little bit of shape, a little bit of body, and see what that looks like. Let's also quadrangulate it. So that should be a quad, and so should that. So now we have all quads. We can just press UE and remove the n-gons. And just to keep that sharp look, let's scale those points in. And then let's align this with the frame a bit more. There we go. So, you know, we're just moving things around, experimenting, just sort of seeing how it works. Same as last video. This may be, yet again, you know, just another step along the way in experimentation. We're not sure how this is going to look. Just moving things around. Now there is that idea of airflow. What happens if we bring this piece of armor out really far? Almost to the point where it looks like it's designed to scoop air in. Let's put it in the symmetry null. Now we can see it on the other side. Yeah, I think let's go with that. I think it just looks crazy enough that it might look cool. So once we've scooped the air in, we probably want this armor to hug the frame a little bit closer. And I'm thinking we should put a cut that runs along it like this. So we can just cut halfway down, roughly. And then we can start to shape it some more. So this bottom part here should be concave. And this part up here could be a little bit convex, lending to that scoop idea. And then it could just sort of transition back to flat. So I'm seeing an edge here. It seems kind of opportunistic. If we were to select this loop right here and then bevel it, we get some extra edges right there that I think are going to do us good. So I'm just moving these points around so they don't intersect. And I think at this point we can add a Fong tag to this object. And we can also just make sure that the geometry here is a little more evenly spaced. And we should also be checking to ensure that the normals are all pointing the same way. It looks like they are. And so we can probably bring this piece out a little bit more. So this is a good example of what I'd consider practical armor. It sort of protects the machine from the side, but it still sort of provides that airflow that these machines would be needing. I'm just going to move this in a little bit more since we have some space there. This motorcycle isn't symmetrical, so I'm constantly trying to check the other side. When you avoid obstacles in the engineering of the motorcycle, it can actually make the armor seem a little bit more realistic and lifelike, because it seems like you're avoiding a problem that really exists. It seems less artistic and more engineering. So I'm going to select these edges right here, and from the top view I'm going to use my move tool and just control drag to scale them in, to replicate some edges, that is. So now that I've created that lip of geometry on the top, I can actually start moving it in to, and I'm moving along the x-axis, so I know I'm only moving horizontally. And we can sort of bring it more toward the body of the motorcycle. And so we have this scoop that we've created. And we say it's because of cooling. But it also helps protect the machine. I'm not sure if we're going to be mounting armor plates to these cowlings, or if these cowlings themselves are going to be armored. So we're creating this sort of interlocking armor. Now we probably want this to be a hard edge up here. So let's see how that looks. If we were to select these two edges and just bring them out a little bit so we have some more space to work with. We can probably again use the path selection tool, UM, to select this path of edges right here. Looks good. And we just want to bevel them just to give that hard edge. Now when we do this bevel and it ends in a group of 3 points like this, it creates some strange geometry here. It basically forces us to make a decision. Do these 2 points need to merge together, or do these 2 points? So if we merge those 2 points, we actually create a strange flow of geometry right there. But if we just merge these 2 points here that are all along the same plane, we get something that looks a little cleaner. And we can also just sort of slide this point back to keep a curve going. So we have these hard edges of armor sort of appearing. And one thing that I do notice is this nice hard edge that we have sort of stops right there. It would be nice if we can carry this edge through. So let's see how difficult that would be. We would need to bring that up to the same level and sort of make it stick out. So we can rotate this, move it out a little bit, and then let's try doing another bevel right here. Okay. So what we've done is sort of created this sort of strange looking armor at the sides. I'm not sure if I like it or not, but for now let's leave it. I'm gonna try moving this in. We can't move the rear in because there's engine parts there. Let's see what happens if you move the front in a little bit. On the other side, that is. Looks fine. So I think I like how that looks. Thinking we might be able to push these parts in a little bit. And right here, where all the points sort of converge, we're going to want to make sure that there's a smooth transition. Nice curve. Alright. So as with most things related to the armor of this bike, I'm not completely happy with it. Let's color it in a bright color just to see what it looks like. It looks like we have some intersection down here. In general, I don't hate it. I think it looks practical, futuristic. All the things we need it to look. Maybe we should address this shock issue. Maybe we'll do that in the next video. Well, I think we made a little bit of progress this time. And until next time, see ya.